Today's Top 5 Wednesday is top 5 books that take place in your country, region or area, so let's do this. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. So because there are so many books published that are based in and around England, I have decided to kind of shrink it down just to my kind of local area. So in and around London basically. Also, unlike previous top 5s, these aren't ranked from like 5 to 1 with 1 being the best of the lot. They're just 5 random books in any order that I've picked from my area. I do love them all, but they're not in any particular order, put it that way. So let's start with Saturday by Ian McEwan. This is based in and around London and I really like this book. I would say like and not love because I didn't actually finish it. I got really close to the end and the reason I didn't finish it was that I just got really frustrated with it. I love Ian McEwan's writing, which is why I read so much of this, and honestly this book is one of those ones which he writes so beautifully, and if anyone else had written it I would have given up the ghost way before I did, but because he wrote it so beautifully I kept going. And it's basically about this guy who he wakes up one morning and I think a plane might have blown up or something in the sky and he saw it, and then it's about him, kind of his day and stuff. It's just him leaving his house and it's told in real time. There's no scene skipping or anything, it's him just wandering around the streets near his house basically the entire time, and because of that it's a real slow burner. I mean, Ian McEwan writes it beautifully but it's so slow burning, so I never actually finished it, but he does write about the location and the area really well and you can really picture it really clearly, so that's why I picked it. Next up is Posh by Laura Wade. This is actually a play and not a book. I know I'm always incorporating plays into videos about books, but what can you do? So this is actually based in Oxford, but I kind of live between London and Oxford, so I know it pretty well, and it's a really great play. If you've seen the film adaptation, they called it The Riot Club. If you've seen that, it's completely different, it's so much better. For those of you who don't know, it's basically about this students club in Oxford for really elite students basically who come from families that have just been going to Oxford for generations and generations, and they've got like relatives who are all lords and MPs and all that jazz. So it's all about the upper class in England, and it's basically meant to be about the people who will one day run this country, because our current Prime Minister David Cameron was a member of the club which this club in this play is based around, and also the Mayor of London was also in it as well. So there are a lot of people in the upper echelons of the English government right now who basically had a kind of similar upbringing as the kids in this play, so it's a commentary on that basically, and it's very interesting, it's very fascinating. I sold it really badly then, but it is really fun and enjoyable, but it's also very well written and very on point, so I would really recommend checking that out. Next up I've gone for Slated by Terry Terry. This is actually part of a series of books. I've only read Slated so far. There are a number of others in the series. This is based in and around London as well, but it's kind of a dystopian future, and interestingly a lot of the stuff in there I could imagine happening kind of in the future in London. That's why I picked it, because I just thought it was quite an honest reflection of the way our society is going in a way. To some extent, not completely, but to some extent. Next, I'm going to say The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. If you saw my spoilery video about this, don't worry, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but if you saw that video, you'll know that I talked a lot about how much I love her descriptions about London. This is based specifically in London, and I know the areas in this book really, really well, and so I could imagine them, but because this is a dystopia it's obviously different, and it was just really fascinating and I enjoyed it a lot, and yeah. And finally I'm going to say Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. This is literally based like in the towns around where I live, in the villages and towns, so I know it really well, yeah, it's really fascinating, and not many people write books about specifically where I live because I live in the middle of nowhere. It's really interesting to read about the area where you live from the point of view of two of Britain's best fantasy writers. So yeah, that's on my list. That is it for today's video. I will see you again tomorrow with another video, but until then, bye!